Thank you very much. It was a really lovely introduction. I should add to that I began writing by taking classes here at the Writers' Center. And I'm really pleased that I actually do teach at the Writers' Center now on online classes. In addition, I worked at Voice of America for 10 years, and I have my former colleagues here, so I'm really happy to see them. I'm going to read from the story I submitted, and thanks so much to the Writers' Center for selecting me. It was really an honor. I can only read an excerpt, so hoping you will, it will be enough of a taster for you to want to read it all. It's set in Entebbe, Uganda, but I won't introduce too much more of it and just hope that you can sort of get it. Peter always plopped down heavily on top of me after he came, breathing short and fast, as if he had just swum across Lake Victoria. My worry that he was dying was quickly dispelled by his deep snores moments after he rolled off me. I was left wondering exactly what I was doing there in the middle of the night, next to a snoring white man. And why was it that men fell asleep so easily, so deeply, after huffing and puffing over you? There I was, awake, alone with my thoughts, loud in my head and never ending, like a ghost train. Sex was like school, something I just did. I mean, of course I wanted to. I took myself there, nobody forced me. Peter was pink actually, not white, except for his hair, what was left of it. It had suddenly turned color from the stress of his first rough years in Uganda, trying to start his fish export business. He was only 35, but to me at 20, that was ancient. When naked though, he looked 14. He had an adolescent plumpness, a soft body, almost effeminate, with pale, saggy legs. His skin felt just like mine. We met through Zach, a campus friend who also worked for Peter's company. Peter exported tropical fish bought from all over the country, Lake Victoria, Albert, Choga, and River Nile. He paid next to nothing to the local fishermen, then sent the fish in tankloads to Britain for pet shops. Very good profits. Zaka and I were both at Makerere University, what used to be called the Harvard of Africa, south of the Sahara, not counting South Africa, which didn't leave much else. But that was back in the 60s, before Big Daddy, Idi Amin, tried to kill off as many professors as he could. Most ran into exile, and the economic war did the rest of the damage. But we didn't complain, we were really lucky to be there. I was drinking warrant in Zach's room when Peter came in one evening. I liked Zach because he knew he wasn't going to become some big shot in life, so didn't even try. Apparently, he supplied Peter with ganja. Because of my lifelong training to catch a suitable mate, when Peter walked in, I found myself immediately turning on the sweet, simpering self I reserved for men. I recede into myself behind an automatic plastic doll's smile. Peter looked amused by the shabby room. He looked around like a wide-eyed tourist at the cracked and peeling paint, the single bare bulb, an old tattered poster of Bob Marley on the wall, the long line of dog-eared Penguin classics lying sideways on Zach's desk, the untidy piles of handwritten class notes. Zach was finishing his BA in literature. He quickly got off the chair and offered it to Peter. Hey, man. Zach had convinced himself he was Black American. We laughed at the laser way talk, the slang from videos, his crippled leopard swagger, especially for someone so short. I kept telling him, give up, Zach, no one's impressed. But that was his way. Peter refused the chair and gingerly settled onto Zach's single bed, which was covered with a thin brown blanket. The Mzungu wanted to do the slumming right. I was sitting at the other end of the bed. Its tired springs creaked and created a deep hole in the middle as he sat down. I felt myself leaning over as if to fall into the hole, too close to him, into his one personal space. I shifted away and sat up on the pillow, pulling my legs up into me. Did he think I didn't want to sit too close to him, a white man? There was a short, uncomfortable silence. But with the two men there, I didn't have to start the conversation. Zach said, how about a drink, man? Peter, meet Christine, the beautifulest chick on campus. He was trying to be suave, but it sounded more like mockery.
I smiled like a fool. Peter turned and smiled back at me. Nice to meet you, Christine. No teeth showed, only the small grey shadow of his mouth. I put a limp hand into his outstretched one. He squeezed it hard, like a punishment. His skin was hot. I murmured something back, still smiling about nothing, then took a large swallow from my drink, keeping my face in the glass. Peter turned to look around the plain one desk, one chair, one bedroom with an obvious smirk. I wished I could open the window. I wished I could open the window and let in the coolness of the night outside. But I didn't want to move, and mosquitoes would quickly drone in. It was raining lightly outside, pitter-patter on the glass, which made the small square lights of the next hall shimmer like a black and yellow curtain, far away and inaccessible. Wisps of white hair at the back of Peter's head stuck out unevenly over his collar. The light's shine moved over the bare pink hilltop of his head as he turned to me. So, are you a student here too? Yes, soft and shallow. Yes? What do you study, Christine? Like a kind uncle to a 5-year-old. Sociology. Sociology. He stretched out the word, couldn't hide his amusement. That's quite impressive. You must be a very intelligent girl. His smile was kind in an evilish, shadow-mouthed way. I smiled back, showing that I, at least, had big, bright teeth. I don't think he noticed. Luckily, Zach came back at that moment. I quickly swallowed the rest of my drink and left. In the warm, just-rained night, the wet grass and soaked ground smelled fertile. I dodged the puddles in the cracked pavement, which twinkled with reflected street-like light. Not that I really noticed. I was too busy beating myself inside. You smiling fool, why didn't you say something clever?